imagine o frio na barriga que eu estou. Imagine o frio na barriga que eu estou. Mas eu estou feliz, muito feliz. I'm so happy today, but I will try speaking Portuguese as is hearless, okay? And we try speaking Portuguese, sometime in English, but I will start this live speaking a little bit in English, and after that I will start that in Portuguese, and let's speak a little bit in Portuguese, ok? Pessoal, muito obrigado por estarem aqui. Nesse momento estamos com 30 pessoas. Se eu cometer alguns errinhos em inglês, faz parte, mas a ideia de falar inglês, você não precisa ser um catedrático em inglês, basicamente se comunicar acho que é o mais importante, e eu me justificando, eu não preciso me justificar nada, não, né? Mas é importante. Pessoal, mais uma vez eu estou muito feliz, acredito que vocês estejam muito felizes também, porque o Reza está aqui com a gente, né? O Reza é um dos caras, um dos maiores especialistas em Power Platform, os mais conhecidos, os maiores canais de Power Platform do mundo, e eu espero que vocês gostem muito, muito, muito. Eu já vou trazer o Reza aqui para a gente, ou Reza Dorrani, it's so difficult to speak Dorrani in for us that speak in Portuguese, okay? But sometimes I will speak in Portuguese, sometimes I will speak in English. Às vezes eu vou falar em português, às vezes eu vou falar em inglês, mas vocês vão entender, espero que vocês gostem bastante, tá bom? Então, let's bring Reza Dorrani. And
Thank
Reza,
you.
how are you?
I am doing great, Eduardo. How are you?
I'm great too. I'm so happy. I'm so excited, and I have no words to say that I'm so happy. The first time that I saw your presentation was in this event. Do you remember this event? This event that was in Orlando. Orlando.
That was probably 2019.
Yeah. Yes, 2019. I said, oh my God, that guy is awesome. And right now you are here to bring your presentations, to talk a little bit with us here in Brazil. And let's rock, and I hope that you enjoy everything. I hope that the chat over there enjoy too, and let's rock. Let's talk a little bit about your professional life.
Sure.
How do you start with that? And the first question is, how did you start your professional life with Sharepoint, your Power Platform? I don't know, but you can explain that.
So my journey started with Sharepoint back in 2008 is when I started working for my first company out of college. The company was Infosys Limited, based out of India, and I was one of the trainees. So I went through a training program. I did not even know how to turn a laptop on when I joined them. So I joined an IT firm without knowing anything about IT, and they got me in. They trained me on, they taught us C#. Then they trained me on Java. I was actually pretty decent on Java.
Okay.
And I got a few projects on Java, and then suddenly I believe there was a recession that hit, and they asked me to learn something new, and they told me there's one project that you can do, and they said Sharepoint. I'm like, what's Sharepoint? And they're like, it's a tool. I said, what is the tool about? They said .NET. I said, I know nothing about .NET. Okay. They said, well, you'll learn about it. So I jumped into Sharepoint. I started using Sharepoint, learning about lists, libraries. I worked on Sharepoint for almost 6-7 years, deep diving, slowly, steadily learning about the limitations, about the platform itself. And then again, when was it? Around 2016 it was, when there was the other recession, I believe in the United States. And I was given a crazy project where all I had to do was click a button, it would run a report, and I had to manually look at the report and compare it with an Excel file. I did that for a year. And I was like, I'm not wasting my life. And I was looking to learn something, and out came, I believe it was only Power BI was out then. Power Apps was in preview. So I started playing with Power Apps, and I knew InfoPath. So I kind of quickly caught up to Power Apps. I got interested in it. I thought, no man, this service is cool. It's giving something different. I started playing with it. I started learning about it, and within a year, my organization got their first Power Apps project, and no one was trained on Power Apps. So I got that opportunity, and I started building solutions, which went live. Everybody applauded me, and then in 6 months, the customer came back that Reza has built the worst product, and that's where I learned about delegation in Power Apps.
Okay.
So I fixed all the issues that I was new, so I did not know about it. And, I went back in, I worked for 2 months outright for free for that customer. And we got that knocked out of the park. And to date, that solution is still working. And that's what led me truly into this platform, understanding, deep diving. Then I moved over to Flow, virtual agents, and then integration and a lot of other things. So that's how I basically got into this platform. And I've never looked back. M365 Power Platform, that's my thing right now.
Okay, I got that. I will try to translate that a little bit in Portuguese. Pessoal, seguinte, uma das principais coisas que ele falou, obviamente, que eu não vou traduzir tudo, uma das principais coisas que ele falou é que quando ele implementou o projeto com Power Apps, depois de um tempo o cliente veio falando a respeito da delegação, né? Porque, obviamente, a gente não, quando a gente mexia lá atrás, a gente não sabia da questão de delegação, e aí foi aí que ele foi aprendendo, tá? Uma resumida bem legal de uma parte que eu achei interessante. Reza, I started building some SharePoint project in the past. We created the project in C# and the workflows in C# too. When we see the Power Automate right now, it's another world, no? It's a completely different world. Right now, it's so easy when we compare the SharePoint solution that we created in 10 or 15 years ago. No, right now it's so easy. Correct. And today I see the guys creating Power Apps with SharePoint, and these guys don't know how to create a great architecture in SharePoint, create a great list or create a great architecture with lists relationship. We know that SharePoint is not a relationship database, but we can use that like a relationship. What you can say about that, about the Power Apps architecture, database architecture, how the guys can create a perfect, it's not a perfect, okay? Create a perfect apps with SharePoint.
Yeah. So this is actually a very, very relevant question in today's day and age. Everyone is trying to build solutions quickly, leveraging the Power Platform or beyond, right? Even SharePoint itself, the development in SharePoint has moved on leaps and bounds from WSP to SPFX. So the question is which data source, and everything starts and ends with your data, literally. So selecting the right data source is extremely important, and there are many factors to it, whether you like it or you hate it. The truth is that licensing plays a very, very important role. Many a times we need to design solutions because in SharePoint, try and fit a model in SharePoint. You mentioned relational. Yeah, SharePoint is not truly a relational database, but it does have a few capabilities in terms of lookup columns, in terms of creating an identity and linking the list together, somehow getting this to work in a truly relational fashion, which SharePoint is not. For lightweight relationships, for simple list structures, SharePoint is a great data source. And another misconception is 5,000 item limit. SharePoint cannot handle large data. None of that is true as long as you handle delegation. If you cover delegation, if you understand the concept of delegation in Power Apps, you can create lists with millions of records and work with it in Power Apps. No issues whatsoever. So that should not be a restriction. The restriction would be around my data source. Does it truly need relational structures? Am I trying to build a system that I have one table that is related to 10 other tables? SharePoint is out. SharePoint has limitations in how many relationships you can create, even though they are not true relationships. So you got to be mindful of that when you're making your decision. Your next step up from SharePoint, then you go to, like, if I had to take steps, I would start with SharePoint first, try and see if I can fit there. If no, move ahead. What's next? I'll go based on licensing. So Dataverse for Teams. Here's a new database that is provided for us inside Microsoft Teams that has the full relational capabilities, well, sort of the full Dataverse feature set. And it's available for me within Teams. So now I'm restricted to a team. That's your limitation, number one. And you only have 2 GB of data to play with. Now, once again, lightweight, Teams-based applications with relational data, perfect scenario. Dataverse for Teams. With the option to upgrade. If tomorrow you decide, okay, now I really need the full version, just hit that upgrade button, move up. And of course, once you move up, you have the whole world available for you in Dataverse. But again, it's not a but you got to pay a cost for that. And that's the cost of licensing. SQL is a great database as well, fully relational, of course. Dataverse is nothing but SQL at the back end, backed in the cloud. So if you have heavily invested already in SQL, then it makes sense to continue working with SQL. And once again, SQL is a premium licensed connector, so you need to be aware of that fact. So there are a lot of factors, database, what are you trying to build? What's your use case? What's your growth rate? How fast is your data growing? How many users need to access the system? Where do you see the system in 5 years? These are all some key questions that you need to ask before you just head out to build things.
Ok. I will speak something in Portuguese, ok?
Sure.
Pessoal, eu acho que a parte mais importante que ele disse é que é legal começar com SharePoint, é legal iniciar a aplicação com SharePoint, explicou um pouquinho da questão de relacionamento com o SharePoint, mas é importante visualizar a sua aplicação não para agora, mas para um futuro. E aí sim, criar um roadmap para a gente poder, para você fazer a migração dessa aplicação para o Dataverse, e aí, obviamente, usando os recursos premium. Reza, when we create an application with our customer, in the first meeting, I try understand all roadmap application, okay, to understand how the application will grow up with the data, the users, and the features or the connectors, how this application will connect with the other applications, something like a SAP, something like a ServiceNow or other application, if we will create a custom connector, or if we will use a premium connector. That is so important when we create an application in our customer, okay? My customer, I think that you do the same thing, no? And that is correct?
That is absolutely right. So you got to take the call early. You got to decide the route you're taking, and things change, right? This is the Power Platform world. We might have a better option come out right after this call, right? Something that you designed yesterday may not be the best design anymore. So you got to choose the right path. There are various ways to achieve something thanks to the Power Platform, but then not every path might be the best path. So as you mentioned, you got to ask the right questions up front. Security is another aspect, right? Security plays a key role. What are you trying to achieve? You need column level security. Well, SharePoint's out. SharePoint doesn't do that. So you got to think, right? How are you going to secure your data? How are you going to secure your content? So a lot of factors play a role in deciding the database and deciding even the services that you want to use. Am I trying to build an app for this? Is Flow an option? Is Logic Apps a better option? It could be. It might as well be.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. We can bring our application strong, a power application.
Yeah.
And when we think like that, we can create a strong application, a robust application. And right now, you can start your presentation. You can bring your PowerPoint presentation, and you can share your screen. And let's start to learn a little bit with Reza.
Sure. So let me go ahead and share.
You'll share that over here. Okay.
You can see my screen?
Yes, we are seeing right now.
Perfect. So the presentation that I've put out today is around integration of the Power Platform. And by integration, I mean integrating the different services of this platform together. Now, this is a slide probably that folks who follow the Power Platform would have seen at least 1 million times by now. At least I have seen it 1 million times. So this is what the platform has as of today in terms of the features and services that it provides. We have the following key services. We have Power BI, which allows us to analyze our data, build dashboards, reports, connect to our data, perform queries on our data, and provide the visualizations to our users. Then we have Power Apps, which allows us to act on our data, build applications for the web and the mobile devices. We have Power Automate, which comes from Azure Logic Apps. It allows us to build workflow automations. And then the newest member of this family is Power Virtual Agents, which allows us to build intelligent chatbots. Now, all of these have the ability to connect with each other. And apart from these 4 key pillars of the platform, we have a database that the platform offers, and that is called Microsoft Dataverse, which is a relational database backed by Azure in the cloud. Then we have the data connectors, which is basically the heart of the platform. This is what allows us to connect to our data sources, no matter where they live, on premises or in the cloud. And we also have some artificial intelligence capabilities, once again, encapsulated from Azure Cognitive Services, and more is what we get as part of AI Builder. Now, this is what the platform offers, and you are not limited to one or two of these services. You can leverage multiple services based upon your use cases. So this is something that I always put out, is that the total is greater than the sum of its parts. You are not limited to one or the other. So I can leverage Power Apps to build an app. I can leverage Power Automate to add an approval process on top of that application. And then I can have a Power BI report wherein I showcase dashboards or reports of data that the Power App is accessing. So all of these things can work together, and Power Virtual Agents as well. I can have a chatbot where the users can interact with that same data through natural language conversation with a bot. So this is what the platform offers from an integration standpoint. All of these services can talk to each other. And the glue of this platform that binds most of these services together is actually Power Automate, one of the key pillars of this platform. Now, all of these pillars are not just, they don't just connect to each other, of course. You have data connectors, so you can integrate with any data source of your choice. Of course, Microsoft Dataverse is a built-in data layer of this service. So it's already being offered to you. However, if you have other data sources, case in point, SharePoint, there are a lot of integration capabilities there as well. So let's talk about a few of them. Power Automate integrating with SharePoint or integrating with OneDrive or Microsoft Teams. In SharePoint, if I want to integrate with Power Automate, basically create a flow that does something, there is an automate button that appears in every modern SharePoint list or document library. And in there, I can directly go and start creating my automations or my flows. There are multiple types of flows that you can create. You get a list of templates to choose from. You can start flows based on automated scenarios, like when an item is created, updated, or you can manually trigger a flow based upon a selection that the user makes. So a user can select a specific item and say, start the flow. The flow will be contextually aware of the data that has been selected. With Teams, what are the capabilities that Power Automate has? Well, you have a Power Automate app within Teams, wherein you can access all your flows. You can build flows. You have the approval center, and now you even have an approvals app in Teams where you can directly go and respond to any approval actions that have been assigned to you. You also have the Power Automate bot, to date known as the Flow bot, which allows you to trigger or schedule your flows. So I can even run a flow by talking to the Power Automate Flow bot. And the adaptive card experience that comes out in Teams integrated with Power Automate also comes through the Flow bot itself. These are all integration capabilities. Here's more. What about Power Apps? Well, similar to Power Automate. Just like I have an automate button in SharePoint, I do have a Power App button in SharePoint as well, which allows me to create apps. And I can customize my list forms. So I come from that old school SharePoint background, InfoPath. Any folks who are still working with InfoPath, please don't do that. InfoPath is under extended support. And if you're building any new solutions, you have to think about Power Apps and beyond. Additionally, even Microsoft lists, which are nothing but SharePoint lists at the back end, also have native integration with apps and flows. And with respect to Teams, we also have Microsoft Dataverse for Teams, wherein I can build apps, flows, and bots, everything inside the context of Teams itself without even leaving Teams. And then I get a relational data storage system, which is Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. All of this with my standard Office licensing. Now, these are a lot of powerful capabilities integrating with your data sources, but there's a lot more to this system than just integrating with data sources. What about the services themselves? What about apps and flows? Well, straightforward. A Power Apps can trigger a Power Automate flow, and the flow can in turn go ahead and perform certain actions, operations, and if required, the flow can even send data back to Power Apps. And all of this is possible through a connector known as Power Apps that's available inside Power Automate. Native integration. App calls flow, flow does the work, flow sends the information back. Well, what about Power Virtual Agents? Well, once again, observe how flow is one of the key common factors here. Once again, we have Power Automate integrating with Power Virtual Agents. Today in Power Virtual Agents, when you're designing your chatbots, if you need to interact with your data, the most common use case is to call an action, and that action is nothing but Power Automate. So the Power Virtual Agents team did not go ahead and build a new engine for us to interact with the connectors. I know that's coming. It's officially announced, so I can say it. It's coming. However, as of today, through Power Virtual Agents, you can call Power Automate, pass contextual data over from the bot to Flow. Flow can perform the necessary actions and send a response back to the chatbot. Once again, Flow has that connector called Power Virtual Agents. Well, there's more. Power BI can build visualizations and dashboards. Well, Power BI loves Power Apps. How? Well, You have a visual in Power BI called the Power Apps Visual. So just like you have visuals to build dashboards, charts, reports, tiles basically, you also have a visual for Power Apps, which allows you to have an app natively integrated inside Power BI. And for this app, you can pass data to this app directly from the Power BI dataset. And since this Power Apps is running inside the context of Power BI and the data is coming from Power BI dataset itself, if the user was to refine or filter the data in Power BI, the Power App will be aware of the live changes that are happening in terms of filtering of the dataset. And since we have a Power App inside Power BI, so what can a Power BI report not do for you? Well, a Power BI report cannot perform CRUD operations, meaning creating, updating, or deleting records. We can't do that with Power BI. The data model that we get in Power BI is read-only, but Power Apps can perform the CRUD operation. So might as well add a Power App inside Power BI, perform the operations on your data source, and Power BI can live reflect the changes that you've made. Extremely powerful. You can go the other way around as well. You can have Power BI tiles inside a Power App. And now, in fact, this came in, I believe, last month with a new feature. It allows you to not only bring a specific visual or tile from a dashboard in Power BI into Power Apps, but now you can bring an entire Power BI report or an entire dashboard directly into Power Apps as well. And not just bring things in, not just bring these visuals in, but actually these visuals are completely interactive. They are smart. If I was to filter the data inside Power Apps, it will refine the results, which is extremely powerful. Then we have Power Automate in Power BI. What if I want to perform some automations on my data in Power BI? Or I need a flow to do something when something happens in Power BI. So in Power Automate, we have triggers and actions related to Power BI. So you can trigger a flow when a data-driven alert is triggered in a Power BI report. Very useful. Maybe I have a report or a dashboard that tracks the sales revenue of my organization. If the sales revenues falls below a specific number, let's say 70%, trigger an alert that sends out to the sales lead so they are notified about it that our sales are dropping. I can do that leveraging Power Automate. There are so many actions that are available. You can add rows to a data set. You can export your reports to PDFs, Word, PowerPoint, and more. A lot of these capabilities are all available straight out as actions in flow. And then the other way around is true as well. You can have a flow that you build and create and lives and is contextually aware of data inside of Power BI. So just like I can add a Power App inside of Power BI, I can bring a flow inside Power BI. I can send data from Power BI to Flow. Flow will be contextually aware of the data that I filter in Power BI. The user gets a button, the user clicks the button, the flow triggers, the data gets sent over to Flow, and Flow can perform the necessary actions. So many capabilities are baked in if you leverage the integration powers of this platform. And I can keep going on and on in this, right? There's AI Builder as part of the platform. So I can have flows that talk to those AI models. I can have Power Apps that talk to those AI models. I can go to Planner and integrate with Planner. I can bring in information from Planner in my Power App, or I can have a flow that triggers if a task is completed in Planner. Any data connector that's available today can be accessed from apps and flows. And Power BI can bring in data from any data source. Power Virtual Agents can call Flow to perform actions on data. Thanks to that, we have all of these magical powers of integration. And this now leads me to a few demos that I wanted to showcase on integration. So I'll go now and showcase the demos. Unless, Eduardo, you have any questions?
Yes, I have some comment over here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I will put that comment over here. The first comment will be like this one. I will open here. and show up in the screen. I said you that here in Brazil you have a lot of fans, no?
Thank you.
The first one is Leonardo. Say hello to Leonardo and say Leonardo.
Hello, Leonardo. And I know one word though, so I can say that. Obrigado. Thank you.
Obrigado. That's perfect. That's perfect. Obrigado. Obrigado. That's
Thank
perfect. Like this one, the other one, Team Reza, and let's take another one. Saulo said delegation, and
Yeah.
Saulo and this one, other one. Thank you for your videos about delegation, Reza.
Thank you
And,
so much. Those were all from real world experiences, good, bad, whatever.
yes, and it's my bro. As said, it's a pleasure to see two great Microsoft professional bring the content for us in Brazil. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Renato. Renato is my brother, no? And Thiago is a great professional, a Power Platform professional. Congrats, Eduardo and Reza. Thank you very much, Thiago. And Saulo sent us a question. Reza, do you have ever considered using SPFX in team of Power Apps in any project? I can say something about that, okay? I will speak in Portuguese. I will speak in English and a little bit in Português. And, pessoal, o Saulo perguntou se já pensou, né, em considerar um projeto em SharePoint Framework a um projeto de Power Apps. Saulo, exatamente isso que aconteceu comigo essa semana, tá? A gente está num projeto onde alguns usuários eles acessam, eles não têm licenciamento, eles só têm a permissão para acessar o SharePoint, para fazer algumas ações, simples ações, eles não têm acesso ao Power Apps Canvas. Então a gente criou um projeto misto, tá? Onde usaremos o SharePoint Framework com Power Apps Canvas. Reza, I was saying that in this week, we got a project that we work with a mixed technology, with Canvas apps and SharePoint framework tech, because the users don't have the license for Canvas apps.
Right.
That we bring the Power Apps framework. SharePoint frameworks to something in some piece of the process, for that users, and bring the other part of the process to Canvas apps like that. We bring a mix
of both.
Solution, mix application.
No, I think that's it again depends upon the use case. Now, have I ever considered using SPFX? I actually did. There was a year when I really got into SPFX, the customizations around, building navigation components, those mega menus for site collection. So yeah, I have considered, have used it. There are scenarios where SPFX is a much more flexible and a powerful solution. If there are limitations inside of Power Apps, and like, for example, a mega menu, you can't build that in Power Apps. You cannot. Now, a web part, if there's a web part that's required, yes, you can add a Power Apps inside of SharePoint. But then what about scenarios wherein I want to dynamically pass data from, I need the web parts to be connected to each other, or I need some specific use case. So yes, I think, have I considered? Yes. I think some organizations are lucky who have the best of both worlds. My organization definitely is. We have a very strong Power Platform team, and we have a very strong Office Apps and Services team, led by another MVP named David Warner. So he has all the skill sets that's needed for SPFX. And, when you have the best of both worlds, you can always have conversations, see what fits best on your use case, and accordingly take the next step. That's a great question.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Wendell wrote in Portuguese.
Yeah.
Do you have
PDF.
some options for Power PDF on Power Automate? I can say in Portuguese, and after that I speak in English, and you speak in English after that. Wendell, existem vários conectores, tá, de PDF em Power Automate. Tem conectores pagos e tem conectores free, tá bom? Então, quando a gente fala de PDF, tem uma gama enorme de possibilidades de trabalhar. And right now I'm speaking in English. And Wendell said about the PDF in Power Automate, and I said that we have a lot of
Options.
PDF connectors, paid connection, premium connectors that works with Power Automate. If you want to use that, you can pay a premium account to use that, you know.
So of course that is an option, and ideally if you want to do advanced PDF scenarios, PDF merging, landscape, portrait, you would need, if you have scenarios like that, you have to look at those premium actions, period. If you have requirements around just creating a basic PDF with a couple of images, a table in there, some basic level stuff, you can do that as well. You can build an HTML table, or you can build an HTML script or an HTML file, and then using the OneDrive connector, you have the ability to convert that into PDF. I believe it just has a limit of 2 megs, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's limited, but for small scale purposes, it is a fairly decent and a cost prohibitive option. I think I did a video on that around PDF exporting, and on premium licenses, I want to say something specifically around flows. Flow has an awesome plan called the per flow plan. Not many people use it or think about it that way. The per flow plan, you can license a flow. So a flow could be run by as many users as your organization can run that flow. It doesn't matter. You have that flow licensed. You're paying $500 per month. You get 5 flows that anyone can call, and that flow is free to use any premium actions. So now think about this. If I have a Power App that needs to generate a PDF document, do something advanced. The problem with Power Apps is if I call a flow from Power Apps, every user in Power Apps would also need the licensing based on the connectors I'm using in Flow, and maybe Flow is using a premium connector. Maybe, right? The Flow is using PDF, which I need the premium connector. Now that means users need a premium license. But guess what? If you license that flow based on the per flow plan, your users don't need a premium license. So $500 is a worthy investment in scenarios like these. And then you can leverage those for building premium scenario based flows that can be triggered by as many users in your organization. So that's my viewpoint on this.
That's awesome. And I have another question over here. And yes. Fabio said, Reza, you create videos with amazing solution. How do you get to the themes of your videos? I know that. Oh. I know that. He creates, it's like a draw, no? It's like a draw. You do with a careful. You have to be careful with your app. Seeing what's going on with another application, with a commercial application, and look at what's going on over there and bring that careful to your application. You have to do that. No, Reza, that's it.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I do take inspiration. I follow I follow certain websites that give you basic ideas around how to design things. I am not a designer, so if you like the theme of my apps, thank you. I'm no ways a designer. Initially, when I used to build videos, I never used to think about the theme. I used to think about the concept. But then I realized, you know what, if I work on the theme, and trust me, I know this, if I make a video without branding, I might get X views. If I just style it, it goes 5X. It just goes, because it's easy to sell it. Let's face it, we are marketing people as well. So if I make a video, I've got to go out on the rooftops and shout about it that here's a video, this is what it does. And I build a GIF that's for like 10 seconds. And I think in that 10 seconds, the audience decides whether they want to watch it or not. So that's critical. So investing time in branding something is very, very important. Even when you're selling something to a customer, you're selling a product, you're selling a service, anything. Like right now, we are right here on Eduardo's channel, right? He's branded this, right? He has the theme, he has the colors. You got to brand because it's all about branding these days. So sadly, they say a book is never judged by its cover, but in today's world, I think it is. So,
Yes.
so yeah, and so theming, I can take it in two ways. One is branding, and I'll tell you another way I can take theming as well, which is creating a story, creating a theme around something. So if I want to show a feature like printing, like I remember there's a video I did on printing. Power Apps had a new function. Now, I don't want to say this, but many people made videos on printing, right? And all they did is, yeah, here's the print function, and this is what it does. I knew it. Everybody's going to do that. So I was like, no, hold on. What are we trying to do here? We are trying to print. What is the number one thing people are going to have? They're going to have long prints. It's pretty obvious. I have a long gallery. I can't print. I can't. So I started thinking about that. And then I saw there are limitations, but there are certain things you can. So you got to stitch a story around it. I always think what the audience wants. I go in their seat and I think. I try to think what they are thinking, and I'm a developer. I'm involved in multiple projects. I lead a team of Power Platform devs, so I see their struggles. And trust me, any video I do many a times is inspired from projects. It may not be the same concept, but it definitely there is an inspiration aspect to everything.
Yes, that's awesome.
Thank you.
And I think that we can bring the demos, and after that, we bring the other comments, okay?
Sure. So is my screen still being shared?
Yes, right now that's perfect.
Okay, so let's go through. So I'm going to focus on integration demos. So folks who've been following me have probably seen these demos somewhere or the other when I'm speaking at events or maybe in my videos, somewhere or the other. But I think we'll try and break it down this time a little differently. You might have seen this, but I will try and explain it in a different way because now we are thinking about integration. So here in Power BI, I have a Power BI report. Okay, this is a Power BI report that is connected to a database. Of course, the data model is coming from Microsoft Dataverse in my case. And here, to start with, I have a table called of desks. Basically, this is a desk reservation solution. So here I have the list of my desks. I have a name column where the desks are named out. I have an ID column wherein for each desk, I am mapping it to a specific ID in my office location. Now in Power BI, there is a very underutilized, very not commonly known visual. It's the Vizio Visual inside Power BI, Microsoft Visio. And in Microsoft Visio, you need the Visio diagram to add to that visual. So what I did is I have a Visio diagram, a very simple Visio diagram that has a picture of the office space. And these are shapes that you can add in Microsoft Visio. Now this is Microsoft Visio, completely different service, nothing to do with the Power Platform, but guess what? Integration. Now here, I have created or added these shapes of seats. So the users can reserve these seats. And each of these shapes, you can add properties to them. So if I go to shape info, you will notice that I have a property called ID. And here in the diagram itself, for every shape, I have given it an ID. So ID1, ID2, ID3, ID4, I believe all the way through ID 16 or 70. And that's my Visio diagram. Now, if I head over to my data source, I have that same mapping here, the Visio shape mapping. I have the name of my desks, and I have those same IDs mapped right here. Okay, so I have it in my data source. I have it in my Visio diagram. Reza, is that hard coding? Yes, I have to hard code because I'm trying to relate things. I'm trying to relate shapes in Visio with my database. So I'm trying to map these two together. Now, once I have this in place, What I can do in Power BI is add the Microsoft Visio Visual. And in here for this visual, if I head over to the edit properties, here I need first a column that maps to each shape. Now my shape has the ID, my desk information table has the ID column where I'm mapping that same ID. So all I did is I said, okay, this ID is mapped to this ID. And when I do this, it knows that these are all the IDs or the seats that are available. So it's gone ahead and done the mapping automatically. That's because my data in both places is the same. So great, I got my seats mapped. What else? Let's try and zoom in here. So I got my seats mapped, right? Next, I can even show text. For example, I'm saying show the name of the desk on the far right hand corner of the shape on the top. So you see this is desk 19, this is desk 20, this is desk 12, this is desk 7. So it's positioning it far left. Now if I want to change this, I can easily do this. We'll just position it far left, or maybe position it on the left, or position it on the right of the shape, or position this. Now because my seats are all moving around, the shapes are still the same. So it tries to position it to the best of its abilities, but I can easily position it the way I need to. I can change the color of the text. You will see that live in action. I can change the font size. So if I want to really highlight the number of the desk, I can do that. I can show a border around it. These are all native features of the Visio Visual inside Power BI. Now, once I have this, you can even go ahead and change the color of the shape. Now, this is where the true power comes in. Now, in my case here, I'll show a second example as well later on with this. But in this case here, I wanted to color my seats so that when the users register it, they know that, like for example, the purple color is right here. Maybe that's my favorite seat. I always go to office and I always go at this desk. These desks are purple in nature. Now, how do I change the colors? Very easy. I can define an attribute in that table on which I want to change the color of my shape. So for example, if the desk number is between 17 and 21, make it purple. So you see these shapes, if I zoom in, they are purple. If I want to change this, let's say I want to make this red, right? I can just change it, make this blue, green. I can change the color of the shape based on data that is coming from my data source. And the key here is to map each shape to a unique key inside the Visio diagram, inside that shape, which I did right here. And to do that, all I had to do was one layer of hard coding, which is right here in the ID column. But once I have that, then I'm free to change things. I'm free to change the colors. I'm free to change the text. I have a lot of power to deal with. So that's the basic idea around this visual, which is the Microsoft Visio Visual that I added inside of Power BI. Now, this is a great way for users to visualize things, right? So they can visually see the seats that are being provided and they can go ahead and reserve the desks. Now, this is Power BI, right? Power BI is great for visualizing data. So this is great for visualizing. But now I have a Power App and you can see the Power App loading right here in the middle. It's right here. Here I have a Power App and here I have a Power Automate. And these on the right-hand side are just standard visuals inside Power BI. So this are standard Power BI visuals. Right in the center is where I have my Power App and I also have my Power Automate, and these are also visuals. Now, the beauty of Power App inside of Power BI is I can pass data to the Power App from Power BI. So check this out. If I was to, for example, go and say, I want to filter the data here. So let's say I want to filter the data based on the name of the desk, right? So this is going to list out all the filters that we've defined in Power BI. So let's say as a user, I'm interested in desk number 10. So I select desk number 10. Now, the moment I do this, a lot of things are going to happen. Because I'm filtering the data, if you observe all these visuals, the behavior of all these visuals will change. You will see it live in action. And in fact, let's pick a different desk. Let's pick desk number 12 because I want one with a unique color. This one. It's right here. Right? This is desk number 12. Now, the moment I do this, it's going to filter the data and it's going to filter the data everywhere. Here, Power Apps flow as well as the Visio diagram. Check it out. in the Visio diagram, everything got the color stripped out except desk number 12. So it clearly shows me where desk number 12 is. It's right there. So I can see that. Power Apps has also changed its behavior. Power Apps knows that the user has filtered the data. It's desk number 12, so it's right here. So the user can reserve this desk. And let's say I want to reserve this desk for the 22nd of September. I say save. The moment I do this, this is Power Apps. I can write data to a data source. So I'm writing data to my data source. And not just that, that data source is the same data source that Power BI is using here. So once I do this, it will automatically go ahead and live change the metrics that you see in Power BI. So here now desk number 4 previously was reserved 4 times. Now it is changed to 5 because I have reserved that specific desk again. Now I can even select my filters more dynamically. Check this out. I can just click on a desk. So for example, I'm interested in, let's zoom in. I'm interested in this desk. I'm going to select this. So I clicked on the desk in Visio. This also filters the data. So guess what's going to happen? Power Apps knows that there's a filter applied. Power Apps knows I've selected desk 16. Here's desk 16, right? And I can go and reserve this. Now, observe this visual on the right-hand side, please. Desk number 16 has been reserved 2 times by users. Now I'm going to reserve this for the 30th of September. The moment I hit submit, this goes in my database, but Power BI now will refresh. And when Power BI refreshes, you will see it live in action if the demo gods are with me. This number should change from 2 to 3 because this desk has been reserved now for a 3rd time. Okay, so that's what is called live refresh of data. You see that in action right here. It changed to 3. Try and zoom in right here. It's gone to 3. So I can have a live dashboard that shows information. Users can select visuals. They can visualize what they are booking or reserving. Think about this. This could be an auditorium where people are booking seats. This could be a stadium. I'm trying to attend an event. I'm trying to book a seat. I'm trying to reserve a section in a marriage space. So many different use cases where this can be utilized. And what is this? This is Microsoft Visio, Power BI, Power Apps. And what does Power Automate do? Well, if I click on this button, it will send me a report of all the desks and all the reservations that the users have made. And where does it send me that report? Well, it sends me an email that looks something like this. So because I filtered on desk number 16, you see Flow is aware of what I'm doing. So it knows I'm interested in desk 16. So here you go. Desk 16 is reserved on these dates by these users. So I get a full report of what's going on in desk 16. That is because that's the filter that I leverage for filtering the data. If I remove the filter here from this desk and rerun the report, it will give me everything. So here's an integration use case that you can leverage to build experiences like these. So Eduardo, any questions on this part of the demo?
That's awesome. The first question is this one.
Let me come to the platform. Fantastic. Yeah, sorry.
Great. That's awesome.
Sorry, let me stop sharing my screen. Okay.
That's perfect. The first comment is this one.
Thank you.
Fantastic integration.
Thank you.
And we don't have any question about the presentation, but we have some question about other things. No, Luis, send this one. It's good investment for the future. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. the word is yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And this one is the same thing. It's the same thing. We recommendations like that.
So I do get this question a lot. I am in .NET. I'm doing classic SharePoint. I'm a guy who does Python. Is this worth it? Well, I'll tell you what, the journey of this platform in the last 5 years this platform has just skyrocketed. if you look at the exponential growth of this platform, and you don't have to take my word for it, if you look at the reports from Gartner, if you look at all those, those companies that perform metrics as to where this platform is, if you are, the low code space has grown leaps and bounds. And it's not just Microsoft. So I'm not here to just talk about Microsoft. Even Google has its own platform for low code development. Other companies are also doing this. The key here is that you need to be in this space to grow along with this space. And this is the fastest growing space in tech right now. There's the power, not in Microsoft, but in general, the low code space is where the investments are. And the reason is simple. Anyone can build something. So the business user, the one who knows the business the best, the person who knows the data the best, can build experiences. The demo that I just gave you, believe it or not, if you would have told me to build this in any other platform, you tried in any platform, I can challenge you this. I built it in flat out 8 hours. What I just showed you, start to finish. Of course, I know the platform. Yes, I understand how Visio works. Yeah, it might take you not 8 hours, it might take you 80 hours. It's okay. Try and beat that with any other platform. Use any platform. It's just not feasible. It's not possible. That's the beauty of low code, no code development. And it's, trust me, it's never no code. It is low code. Let's keep it to low code.
Yes, yes. ServiceNow is bringing low code, and the Google's bringing low code. A lot of companies bring low code to the user. No, and when we say low code, the pro developer, the professional developer say, "Oh my God, we will work with a low code and no code product." It's not true. Okay, we have to think that the pro developer will create a custom connector, will create another features to help the system developer or the power users to create their applications. No,
Absolutely.
That you have to think about that. No, that's awesome. The other question is, how many hours do you dedicate? And I will speak in Portuguese that, and after that you speak in English. Okay, I think that will be the same answer, but I want to translate that in English. I will speak in Português. Rudimar, cara, no dia a dia que a gente vai aprendendo, tipo docs, e no momento que surge a dificuldade no dia a dia, é ali que a gente vai correr, né? É claro que às vezes a gente não encontra aquela resposta, e aí você tem que ter aquele feeling de tentar descobrir novas formas de resolver os problemas. And I will speak a little bit in English, and I said it's day by day, okay? You have to get that day by day, go to the Microsoft Docs and learn by yourself, you know?
It's an investment. It's an investment of time. It's an investment of energy. And the initial investment is the hardest. I think it's like riding a cycle. Once the cycle moves, it's easy. You're literally just moving with it. So now if you ask me how many hours a week do you dedicate to learn and practice, I think I learn through my videos myself. And I honestly, right before this call, like 10 minutes before this call, I was cleaning up my next video. I was just framing it out, and I was like, okay, this is done. I was just preparing it. So I think the key thing is, again, not to waste too much time. I think we spend a lot of time on social media. Let's face it, everyone's working from home. This is the COVID era. Truly, how many hours are we putting in at work? You need to ask yourself. I can bet you it won't be the 8 hours. You will probably be a couple of hours on social media, checking out what's going on phone, what's going on here. I don't do that. I try and focus on, when I'm eating and when I'm doing other things, maybe I'll check social media, I'll answer a few questions. But apart from that, you just have to invest time. I think that extra, you just spend an hour extra in reading, learning, trying things out. And all that goes back. It goes back into my projects. It goes back into my videos. It goes into, I'm getting fruits out of it. So it's not like I'm just wasting time. If I was not getting anything back, I wouldn't be doing it. And for all the people who think that these YouTubers out there, including myself, right, they think that they're doing great service. Yeah, they're doing great service, but you know what? When you watch a video, there's an advertisement that runs. So they want money, including me, right? Everybody does that. They are trying to share content, but at the same time, they're also trying to ensure that their channel grows. So they are investing time in themselves. It's a lot of hard work, and it's not easy. Many people have asked me how easy it is to start a channel or run a show. It's not. What Eduardo is doing right now is not easy work, because it's an effort. He had to come out, he had to set the show, he had to invite me, we had to have like the pre-work that goes into everything is what people don't see. When I post a video, people see that 10 minutes, but what about the 8 hours that went behind it? Building the video, editing the video, conceptualizing it, trying things out. And we fail. Trust me, I fail so many times when I'm building it. I edit things out. You don't see my failures. You will always see the best part of my video. And so yeah, it's a lot of, my point is, it's a lot of effort. It's an investment. And for any budding YouTubers, look at the reward as well. If you're not getting a reward, don't waste your time. There's no use. There's no use just doing this for free. There are no free lunches in this world. So try it out. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't work out as well, if you feel like sharing knowledge, share. It's up to you. You don't have to do videos, blog, right? Write blogs. If you have the time, write good blogs, write good articles, or help your own organization. Either ways, your choice.
Great. That's awesome. My bro, I saw that you are
very fast.
Very fast. Have you seen the performance issue in your application or client application?
So I'll tell you what, I cannot tell you who the client is, but it's one of the top 3. It's in one of the top 5 companies in the world. I can tell you that much. So you kind of got a hint of where I'm going. But so what we designed for them, I can't give much out, but I can tell you this much: the data source was SQL, and we have a Power App. And what they do in Power BI is they filter, slice, and dice the data. And they do bulk operations. They like to do bulk updates and bulk deletes and stuff like that. So more like checklist items. This is my Power BI report. These are the 10 activities that we got to take. So they just filter those 10 activities, and I want to say yes, no, add commands. So we use the same concept. This idea came from there, where the Power App is inside Power BI, and the performance is seamless. That's because Power Apps inside Power BI can only handle 2,000 records. Now, guess what? No user wants to do bulk update on more than 2,000 records. If they are, then they're scrolling and they're probably not knowing what they're doing. So you got to think about limited data sets. So Power BI can handle millions and billions of records, no problem. The data that goes from Power BI to Power Apps is limited, and the requirement was to work in a limited space. The performance was seamless, no issues whatsoever. And even the Visio integration that's there, it's another very, very cool feature with seamless integration once again. So from a performance standpoint, again, we did not gauge or rate the performance, but there were no performance issues as such.
Mm-hmm.
Good question.
Another one.
Yeah, this one.
The first one, and look for your process. Is the first one. No, do that. Okay, we'll do that, and to avoid this kind of problem. No?
Yeah. I think the key to this. So I think I do have a video. I'm pretty sure I do. I do have a video on this one wherein I show how to avoid the repeating loop inside of Power Automate. I did that video long back. I'm sure there'll be better techniques now. If I ever get to a video, I start thinking about it. So I'm sure hopefully if I get to this one again, I'll try and build an upgraded version of this. But the answer to this is twofold. One, trigger your flows when you need it. Don't trigger your flows for no reason. That's one. Second, what you've mentioned there is absolutely right. When a flow is updating something, the flow is doing it more or less in the context of the account in which the flow is running, especially in case of automated flows. So yeah, people get around it by checking to see if the item was modified by that account. If it is, then don't re-trigger the flow. So that's the trigger. In the trigger action, they put that expression. So the flow triggers only when needed. Um, I've seen. So I'm someone who's very active reader of blogs. So I read a lot of blogs. I think there's a guy called Vesa Nipponen in Scotland, I believe. Vesa, don't kill me for this, but I think Scotland. And he showed a way, I believe he or someone else, he showed a way wherein they checked the created date and the modified date. If they are different, that means the item is modified. Again, not very, not based on your scenario here, but that is also a trick way of finding out. Another way is you set a flag in your database, right? You set that flag to 1 or 0, and I think that's what I did in my video. I set the flag, and then in the trigger condition, I check the flag. So yeah, there are ways around it, trigger conditions and avoiding infinite loops. I know something that the Power Automate team is working on. I cannot disclose it. Being an MVP, I can tell Eduardo after the call secretly, but I can give you a hint that a good thing is coming. So you got the hint.
Okay. And Bruno said that you made a video on I didn't see this video, but you made for the gyms and something like check up the checking the exercises, use the GPS.
Yeah, so I remember that. Yeah, that was a video I did long back. So Power Automate to date, it has a feature that not many people know about. That feature is in preview since the day I made that video, which is probably a year and a half ago, wherein it can track your location. So what you can do is you can geofence a location. For example, Eduardo, I can geofence your home. And I can say, you know what, whenever I reach Eduardo's home, send an email to Eduardo that I'm here. And when I leave your home, send him an email that, hey, bye, I'm going. So Flow has a trigger that can check to see if you enter that geofence that you define, and that geofence can be as small as your house. It can be as large as a continent. So if I'm flying to a different country, I can even geofence a country. The key to that trigger is you need to have the Power Automate mobile app on your device. And the moment you have that app running and location services has to be on, once you enter that geofence, it sends a notification. Now, Bruno, if I'm pronouncing the name right.
Yes.
So what Bruno is mentioning is what I did actually is in California, I used to go to a fitness center, and every day I used to forget what was my last workout. Every time I went, I forgot. So I geofenced my fitness center. When I went in there, it sent me a notification on my mobile device with information of my last workout. And when I left the location, it again sent me an email with a form that I had to fill out, that this is what I worked on today. So the next time it notifies me about it. So that's what I did. And I'll give you one more use case. I use it in my office. I don't use it anymore since I don't go thanks to COVID. But in my office, we have a security code that changes every week. So every time I get there, I have to contact my office manager to give me the code. So it was a very painful process. Every time call her, message her, hey, I'm here. Please, what's the code? I want to come in. And sometimes she's on leave or she's on a break. So what I told her is I gave her a space in SharePoint, just a list with an item. I said, whenever the code changes, just go here. And she used to receive the code change in an email by the company that operated that system. So I even automated that. So the email comes in, she doesn't know anything. Flow runs, reads that code from the email and puts it in that SharePoint item. Now guess what I did? I geofenced my office location. The moment I hit my office location, it grabbed that code and sent it to me in my mobile device. So I'm sure if I go to office now, it will send me the code. It may not be valid though. But yeah, okay. These are some cases where I used it.
Ok, that's perfect. Bruno, ele usou a localização, ele criou uma zona, né? Então ele criou um raio, onde no momento que ele entra ou sai daquele raio, dispara um workflow, né? Um Power Automate, com esse Power Automate no dispositivo eletrônico, tá bom? Fábio, again, thank you very much, Fábio. And
Thank you.
muito obrigado por tudo. E vocês que movem tudo isso daqui, né? Vocês que fazem tudo isso acontecer. I'm saying that the guys move us, okay? And when the guys click on the thumbs up and watch our videos, and you got 2 million views, 2 million views your channel. Yes,
Yeah.
2 million views, a lot of views, no, a lot of views. And when I saw, I said, okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. And
Thank you.
Congratulations for you, no?
Thank
And
you,
guys, do have another question? Pessoal, vocês têm outras perguntas? That I will finish our live. That I'm so happy for this day. It's that's awesome for me. I have no words to say thank you for you. No.
Well, thank you for inviting me to your show. So I'm extremely happy to be here and talk to so many wonderful people in the audience, again via chat or answering the questions. But thank you for having me, and love to Brazil.
Yeah, yes, and I hope that we will do a presentation, a live presentation together, no, in US, or when you come to Brazil or
I hope so.
another country. I hope that we can do something together, a collab together, and let's
Absolutely.
talk. No?
If I ever come there, I am meeting you, Eduardo.
Yes, yes. Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. I will see you next year. Next year, I will go to US and you can talk about our platform. I can go
Absolutely.
to your company and know every one. And guys, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
this one has a thank you so much. Natália.
Thank you, Natalia. Thank you.
That's awesome, Natália.
Thank you.
Pessoal, vou acabando, não vou segurar vocês mais aqui. Tivemos bastante pessoas e eu estou muito feliz por tudo e agradecido por vocês também. E na semana que vem tem mais live, na semana que vem é o Galter da Microsoft, na outra semana bastante gente legal, tem até dezembro, tá bom, de live. I'm saying that I have more 20 dates for lives all week. On October, I will bring 2 lives per week. That's awesome, no? And I hope that you come with me in another date. I hope that you have a good night, and thank you very much, Reza. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
That's it.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure being here, and thank you to the wonderful audience. I'm looking at the comments on my phone right now, so thank you.
That's awesome. Guys, go to the Reza channel. Of course that Reza, and of course that you are subscribed there, no? But go over there and watch Reza videos, and let's learn Power Platform. Let's grow up with Power Platform, and see you next week. How I say in all my videos, como eu digo em todos os meus vídeos. Até mais e fui. Reza, you can stay over here, okay?
I will stick around. Bye, everyone.